The attempted right-wing takeover of school boards in this country has hit a bit of a snag, as scores of extreme candidates lost their elections this month. So 2 states, Illinois and Wisconsin, have decided to set up the wall, the blue wall, if you will, against a lot of these right-wing, very extreme anti-LGBTQ school board candidates. And it is wonderful. So let's go to Illinois. Democrats say that more than 70% of school board candidates they endorsed actually won their races, defeating anti-LGBTQ plus culture warrior candidates en masse. Fantastic. Republican candidates in Wisconsin also fared poorly. Moms for Liberty, this is the right-wing dark money group that's linked to wealthy Republican donors and has been behind a lot of these book banning campaigns, said only 8 of their endorsed candidates won election to school boards. And other conservative groups also reported disappointing performances. Yes! You love to see it. You know you do.
Oh yeah.
That's right. All right. Now, J.B. Pritzker, the Democratic governor of Illinois, said this after the results came in, quote, "Fortunately, the voters saw through the hidden extremists who were running for the school board, across the Chicago suburbs especially. Really, the extremists got trounced yesterday. I'm glad that those folks were shown up and, frankly, tossed out." Again, you love to see it. Turns out the American people not in favor of things like book bans. I know. And not only that, but this is something you don't see a lot. The local Democratic parties, they actually showed up and they fought. One of my main criticisms of Democrats isn't on their policy. It's on the fact that they have not fought. But in this case, they turned out, they got out, and they fought, and they won. And they won. I love it. The Democratic Party of Illinois, for example, spent $300,000 on these local races, according to the Chicago Tribune. They endorsed dozens of candidates. The party said about 84 out of 117 candidates they recommended ended up winning their races. I love it. Teachers' unions, including the Illinois Education Association, endorsed candidates in school board elections around the state. The IEA-backed candidates in about 100 races, and about 90% of them won. Damn, I love it. So this is according to the organization's president, Kathy Griffin. No, not that Kathy Griffin. The other Kathy Griffin. Here's what she said. "I would hope that the tide is turning to make sure that people who want to have those school board positions because they want to do good for our kids continue to get elected." I think that sometimes, or oftentimes, these fringe candidates are funded with dark money. That dark money comes from outside of our state. Well, I mentioned one of those groups, Moms for Liberty. Again, backed by incredibly wealthy conservative billionaires. There's another group. One of them was the 1776 Project. So that's a PAC that received funding from a billionaire GOP donor named Richard Unlein. Now, they had some big losses as well. They said that only a third of their 63 candidates it had backed in Illinois and Wisconsin won their races, while union-endorsed candidates won 2/3 of their school board races in Milwaukee alone. So there's one place where Republicans still did well, and that's in rural areas. So is that a surprise? No. There's more work to do because, believe it or not, I think that, rural school children also deserve a good education. I know, a quality education. What can I say? I'm apparently I'm woke.
The wokers.
That's right. One of them. No, you know why? Because first of all, I want the kids to be successful. I want them to learn facts. I want them to learn reality. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes learning facts and reality might make you more progressively minded. Not that that's the goal. Just want them to be successful in life. But hey, good. Now, we do have a lot of work, again, to make sure that everyone has that quality education to be able to be the most successful. But at least in most of these recent races, good old American values of freedom actually won. Again, they were running against people who supported all of these right-wing book bans. When you're banning the books, when you're burning the books, even as has happened in some places, you're the baddies. And look, a survey last year found that 73% of Americans opposed the book bans that have been put into place in places like Florida, for example, and enacted by a lot of these local school boards that have been filled by massive right-wingers. Turns out you cannot be on the side of freedom and then ban books, because they mention a topic that you might not like. Suddenly, they scream about censorship when it comes to saying racist things on Twitter, but have no problem with banning all these books for mentioning LGBTQ people actually exist. Here's the story of one and their struggles. Here's the story of a young black child who experiences racism. Can't have that. Oh, no. Learning about that stuff.
Can't let that happen.
Well, the American people don't agree with you. The American people overwhelmingly are on the side of knowledge and facts and freedom. But despite the wins, in places where the right wing still holds power, they're still going full steam ahead on these. They don't care that the American people don't agree with them. They have some very specific Christo-fascist ideals. So while there are victories here and should be celebrated, we should take the W on these. Especially since, you had Union-backed members that won massively. There's still a lot of fight left to retake, I should say, to stop the tide of what is essentially Christian nationalism and anti-LGBTQ, anti-racist, or I should say just racist ideologies, to stop people who hold these values, so-called values, from being in charge of what our children can and cannot see, and can and cannot learn about.